Welcome to TIMFD. Today is my favorite day with your hosts, David Towner and Sam McEwen. If this podcast does speak to you, please like, share, and comment. Let your friends know all about us. And now, here's your hosts, Dave and Sam. Well, Dave, welcome back to Today is My Favorite Day.
Thanks, Sam.
This has been, this I think is our third session. I appreciate you being here and being patient with us. We have a lot to cover.
Yes, we do.
And so we finished talking the other day on the Fatherhood Initiative that you're working on. Is there anything that you may have left out or you want to touch on again?
No, I appreciate that. I think that, again, the significance of the male influence in the decision and everything in the first year of the child's life is very important. So we not only will be challenging them from a man's side, but we also, as I mentioned, we will have a mentor for them. Mm-hmm. But we also want them to be going through the learning and earning program with their wife or girlfriend or whoever,
right?
Because they can also earn points. And it's fascinating that they can earn points. And if by chance the father lives in one place, the mother lives in another, the father can earn enough points to get a car seat for his car while she's earning enough points to get a car seat for her car so that they can transport the child very safely.
That's awesome.
Yes, it is.
So that is just an awesome program. Well, we've been talking with Dave Dorsey on Oasis Pregnancy Center. And if you haven't listened to our first two sessions, I would encourage you to go back and listen. But we're going to get into a subject that is probably on everybody's mind, something that has been totally misunderstood for I don't know how many years, and something that, for lack of a better term, some of the crazies in our country are taking to be just totally, we're upsetting the entire apple cart. Mm-hmm. And I don't believe that, but that is the Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe versus Wade. Mm-hmm. So I know that you probably have much more background as far as what Roe v. Wade says, but what my concern or my thing I want to get out today is what does it really look like? How does it really impact society today?
Well, the Dobbs Case, which came out of Mississippi, mm-hmm. The gist of it was to lower the time period from 24 weeks to 15 weeks. Florida, in essence, mimicked that law, and it went into effect July 1st, as did a number of other states. There were other states, and in essence, what the Supreme Court did, we hear overturn Roe v. Wade, but in essence, what they did is they turned the decision of the abortion decision back to the individual states.
Right.
And that's why we're seeing quite a diversity of things that are taking place. There were many that celebrate, and certainly we appreciate that there were those who had the courage to stand for life. Mm-hmm. And there are a number of people, and yes, I have a biblical worldview, and I have an understanding mm-hmm. of what I believe about life, but it is fascinating to me that since 1973, the medical and scientific advances that have been made actually speak more for the issue of life.
Right.
As I mentioned, we offer free ultrasounds. Mm-hmm. Ultrasounds, I mean, I've talked to a number of women in my age group and who never had an ultrasound. Never saw that. And now we have the ability to look into the womb and see a uniquely made individual. Mm-hmm. And that's a DNA that never was created before and never will be again.
Right.
And so the advancements are significant. The advancements are such now, it's fascinating. The advancements are such now that surgeons can actually perform surgery on a child in the womb before it's delivered.
Yeah. Right.
They will also anesthetize, that's a hard word to say,
I know.
but provide anesthesia to that child in the womb at 15 weeks, as low as 15 weeks. Now, why would they need to anesthetize a child in the womb unless that child could feel pain?
Right.
Now, again, Florida was up to 24 weeks, dropped it to 15 weeks. Other states around us, and this is the good and bad news, mm-hmm. there are a number of states around us that initiated heartbeat bills. They've been termed heartbeat bills. Basically, a heartbeat can be picked up, and the other side will use fancy language. They don't want to use heartbeat because it identifies it as a person.
Right.
They will. A heartbeat can be picked up as early as 6 weeks.
Okay.
So a number of states around us have implemented those laws that once a heartbeat has been determined, then an abortion cannot be performed. Now, what's fascinating is we're seeing abortion centers, and this is the dead giveaway. Abortion centers are closing up in those states. As they have promoted themselves as a women's health facility, an overall women's health facility, okay, you can't do one procedure, but you can do other procedures. Right. Well, it becomes now apparent that the main procedure that they do in there is in the life of a child.
Right.
Now, what that means for us in Florida, last year we had close to 80,000 abortions in the state of Florida.
Okay.
We are the 4th largest in the country. Had been,
even
though we're a pro-life state.
Yeah.
We say we're a pro-life state, and we are. We have a lot of good men and women in Tallahassee who are fighting the cause. But now that our law is at 15 weeks and the states around us are at 6 weeks, Florida is now becoming almost a destination location for people to come until additional legislation comes that we pray will come at some point down the road. In addition to that, what it's now pressing is the chemical abortion side.
Right.
And for those who may not know, chemical abortion is actually a set of 2 pills. One pill is taken that cuts off the nourishment to the baby, and then the second pill is taken a day or 2 later that causes the baby to be expelled. And the reality is that part, even though surgical abortions have been on the decline, and I just noticed a stat that it actually was on an uptick this last year, but they have been generally on a decline. Chemical abortions have been on the upswing.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Because those are hard to track, because there are some states, well, most states, they weren't being tracked at all. In the bill that was just passed in the state of Florida, not only has it been dropped from 24 weeks to 15 weeks on this surgical abortion, but also now chemical abortions have to be tracked. Where it gets really tricky is that we now have an administration that has basically allowed the FDA to start dispensing, or that's incorrect terminology, has approved the ability for chemical abortion pills to be shipped interstate across state lines to clients that can go online and basically order. Not only are they don't have to see a doctor anymore.
Oh, wow.
They can just go online. There, I think I heard the other day there were 3 sites that basically you go on, maybe fill out a little questionnaire and have these pills shipped in directly to you. And listening at a seminar in Lakeland a few months ago, a representative from an entity that tracks these things is now saying that those pills can actually be shipped in bulk. Now, who's going to buy chemical abortion pills, RU486, in bulk? The only one that we can think of is human traffickers.
Right.
That's pretty staggering now that not only, at least there was a barrier before that a woman had to go visit a physician
Right.
had to prescribe it, and now she can actually get it ordered in, and anyone else can now order it in bulk. It creates a Wild West thing happening on that side, and likely will cause some physical trauma to the woman. If she doesn't know, if she hasn't had an ultrasound and she just suspects she's pregnant, if she has an ectopic pregnancy, or if there's any other complications and she takes that pill without a physician's supervision, she runs some very severe risk for her physical health. I mean, she could die.
Wow.
And there have been cases of that have taken place.
See, that's not even talked about.
No. No.
And it's Tampa area is a very high human trafficking area.
The I-4 Beltway, yes, it is.
And so I did not realize that. And so are you saying that I could go on and order those pills?
It is likely. Yes.
Wow.
It is staggering. Now, the other component that we're grateful for, and the good thing, and I've talked to a number of other pregnancy care centers in the area here, is that since the leak, our phones have actually picked up in activity. And then since the decision was announced officially, our phones have been ringing very consistently with those that are considering terminating the and every pregnancy care center I know around the area here is experiencing the same thing. So we're grateful. And the reason they're doing that is because they're finding us very quickly. All of us have creative ways that we're getting our word out. we don't have that funding that we can put billboards out, but
Right.
we've got other ways and people that are very dedicated to helping us get our message out. And so they're calling us and giving us the opportunity to begin a conversation with us. Some of us have a very high SEO. So if a certain keyword was typed in, we're not going to be at the top, but we're going to be on the front page toward the top. And when they see free ultrasound, free pregnancy test, free services, that can be an enticement sometimes.
Right. And I think that's just awesome. There's so much misunderstanding, number one, around Roe versus Wade when it first came out, and through the however many years it's been.
50 years.
50 years, yeah. And now this Supreme Court decision to overturn. I am wondering, in our area, are there many like Planned Parenthood organizations that are closing up shop, or what's that landscape?
Well, as I mentioned to you, the state of Florida, we actually expect a bit of an uptick in surgical abortions this year because of what's taking place in the states around us. There are the states. I think the statistic that there are 3 pregnancy resource centers to every 1 abortion center in the United States.
Oh, I didn't know
in
that.
Other states like Missouri and other states like them, those abortion centers are basically being forced to close because they're the states that have the trigger, the 6-week heartbeat bill.
Okay.
And so those centers are closing up, and soon it will be 4-to-1, pregnancy resource centers to abortion centers.
Okay.
Many of our pregnancy resource centers place themselves very strategically close to the closest abortion center.
Okay.
Because we want to be there as another resource to help them in the decision-making process.
Okay. So what do you think the long-term impact on this decision is going to have on you?
Wow, Sam. It's causing us, there are a number, I'll just say that there are a number of pregnancy resource centers that also provide medical. They have OBGYN, registered nurses, other medical staff, trained staff that are on site that provide additional medical provisions for that woman or that couple when they come in. We are blessed to have a nonprofit down the road from us that we can refer clients to.
Okay.
They're like-minded, but it's causing us to think about how can we continue to expand our services. In one of our centers, as an example, we have we're moving in the direction of providing additional services to that client so that when they come in, they can be with us not only for the educational component, but also for additional medical component as well.
I see. So I do know that, especially on the low income side of things, one of the biggest concerns is prenatal care, prenatal vitamins, and all that kind of stuff. So how long term, what do you look for Oasis to be able to do to help in that area?
Good question. As part of the educational component, we also provide the vitamins and all of those things. So yes, that's part of the free stuff that a client can get if they need it. If they're not on another program, if they're connected to another program where they can get that, then we say, great, keep doing it. But if they're not, we can either get them connected with that program where they can get those supplies, those essential supplies, or we can provide them in-house. Let me just also add that particularly in our area here, one of the key things that I think we are blessed to be able to do, and there are a number of pregnancy resource centers in the area that face the same, we are able to provide all our services in both English and Spanish.
Oh, okay.
We are blessed to have bilingual staff in all 4 of our centers so that when someone walks in, I've lived in Tampa all my life, and the Spanish influence, the Hispanic influence in Tampa is wonderful. I mean, the heritage in our area and the food that,
oh my goodness,
let's not talk about that.
No.
But it is fascinating to me that we have people coming into our center who speak very little English. And I'm sure that when they walk through the door, they're feeling not only apprehension about their circumstance of being pregnant, but also, will I be understood? And as soon as, I've seen this, as soon as they hear their heart language being spoken back to them, it really does calm them down significantly that they can communicate clearly with someone that will understand what they're doing and what they're saying.
One of the things that I think folks really need to understand is that you're there to serve the need of the woman and the man who come in, they're pregnant, and they don't know what to do. You're not going to be hit over the head with a Bible. You're not going to be condemned because you're pregnant and you're not married and, all the things that the church says has to happen. Okay. And I'm not saying I believe all that. I believe that there's no room for premarital sex, that you should wait and all those things. I believe those things, but people make choices. And once the sin is committed and forgiven, we need to move forward. And I think as a church, we have to be positioned to be able to help folks when they come through the door. I'm blown away by the information and what all Oasis does. Folks, if you have any need for this type of service, the counseling, you have got to get a hold of Dave and his staff down there. And you're in the Tampa office, right?
No, I actually work out of the Land O'Lakes office.
Oh, okay.
But I have been to all 4 of our centers, and will gladly. One of the things that we encourage is if anybody would like to take a tour of our place. I mean, before I went to work there, I thought I did know more about what was going on there because my wife and I volunteered at the Tampa Center.
Right.
But boy, being behind the curtain now, the complexity of our ministry, and I've just really kind of hit some of the high spots with you and your audience. It's really a fascinating, a very complex and very fast-paced ministry. And we always encourage people to come to one of our centers and take a tour.
So if they want to take a tour, they should call and set up an appointment? Okay.
Yes.
And once again, the locations are Tampa, Land O'Lakes, Wesley Chapel, and Dade City.
That's it.
And if you go to their website, you'll find all the telephone numbers and everything that you need to be able to contact them. You'll also find the services that are listed. I was on the website this morning, double checking, making sure that I was at least somewhat intelligent today. And if you have questions, you have to ask. Give the staff a call. Is there anything, Dave, that you think we haven't touched on that you would really like to get into today?
Oh, well, Sam. Yeah. No, I think we've covered pretty much everything in our time together, and I really appreciate that. I will say that we have a website for our clients. That's the Oasis Pregnancy Center.org site. And if you go there, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see that it can redirect you to another site that we encourage maybe people are considering volunteering or donating or whatever. And you click there. And that takes you to the heartsforoasis.org site. And that site provides information on volunteer opportunities. Okay. I think there is a button to hit if you want to take a tour, and you fill out the information. That email comes to me. Okay. So I can and if a volunteer, if someone wants to volunteer, they fill out a simple thing on there. We send some forms back to be filled out. That email comes to me as well. But everything that they want to know about Oasis and the opportunities they may have on the backside, like what Jack does and what, Jack Westenbarger that we talked about in one of our previous episodes about what he did. That's all on the heartsforoasis.org site. Okay.
So I asked you before our first session about a mission statement or a statement that you all have, because that usually lines out what people are really, truly all about. And so could you read that for us?
Sure. I appreciate this. And our board, when we started back in 2009, 2010, really spent a lot of time working on it and wanted to make sure that it communicated clearly what we do. And we glorify God by being a witness for life, promoting purity, protecting the unborn, and offering support for families. And that is the gist of what we do, and that's kind of the gist of everything that we've talked about here.
Everything we've talked about falls right in there.
Yeah.
And organizations that are successful have statements that are to the point, simple to understand. Dave, I really appreciate the fact you've done 3 podcasts with us. I think we have a lot of information out there. We will post in each of the podcasts, we'll post contact information for Oasis, for myself and David Towner. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. Look, we'll send you to Dave. We'll send you down to Oasis. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. This is a resource that is just phenomenal. So we've come to the end of our time. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Sam.
We've been with Dave Dorsey of Oasis Pregnancy Centers. I would encourage you to look them up on the web. If you have any questions, if you are facing a situation where you think you're pregnant and you don't know, get a hold of Oasis. Dave, before we go today, I want to ask you one more time. Today is my favorite day. What is your comment for today?
Well, as I mentioned early on in our first episode or first of the podcast here, I'm blessed to have grown up in this area. And every day I walk out and get to experience the sunshine and God's creation. Psalm 8, when I consider the heavens, the works of thy hands, what is man?
Yes.
And he finishes that by, O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is your name in all the earth. So when I see the trees, the sunshine, I am blessed to know the one who created all this.
Oh, amen. Today is my favorite day. Thank you for listening. This has been Sam McEwen along with Dave Dorsey. Thanks. Live intentionally. Be blessed. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to TIMFD. Today is my favorite day. The views, comments, and opinions expressed here today are those of the hosts and guests alone, and Dave and Sam are solely responsible for the content of this podcast. TIMFD, Today is My Favorite Day, is produced and directed by Alex Korn. Music is composed and performed by Chuck Vaught. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, live intentionally, and be very blessed, my friends.